What's up, YouTube? My name is Batman. We got part 2 of the legendary campaign guide series. This is Requiem, or Requiem. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Spelling isn't my strong suit. This is the first battle you're going to get into after sort of a long walk and then a quick car drive. This is going to be your first fight, and the main thing you want to focus on in this fight is to focus all your fire on the grunts first. Your priority list should be grunts, jackals, and then elites, which is usually that's in the reverse. And you want to focus on grunts first because the grunts are going to have one of two different types of weapons. Either they're going to have fuel rod cannons, which will kill you in 2 to 3 shots, or they're going to have a charged plasma pistol and they're going to hit you with it, and that'll disable you. And if you're disabled, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get hit with a plasma grenade, and that'll kill you. And just being disabled, having your car break down on you isn't ever a good thing. Now you're going to want to keep your distance here when you're fighting this sort of trio over here. Take out that sort of floating tower from a distance, because there's a lot of firepower up on there. I believe they have beam rifles, and if they hit your car, it does a lot of damage. If they hit you, I believe it's one shot, one kill. And so you want to keep your distance from that. Hit it from afar, it will explode. And keeping your distance is really going to be something that, I'm going to reiterate a million times over throughout the course of this guide, because really the farther away from these enemies you are, the safer you are. But as you see here, even from that distance, you can still hit them with most of your weapons, and especially with a hot warthog cannon, Gatling gun, whatever you want to call it. And again, elites are going to be at the bottom of your list because they're just going to be shooting at you with plasma rifles, which isn't going to hurt you that badly when you're in a car. Now, before you move on to the next area, make sure you did what I just did and you pick up a fuel rod cannon. There's going to be at least 4 of them lying around from dead grunts. If you have each one of your buddies pick up a fuel rod cannon, they're going to come in handy, I guarantee it, at some point in the mission. There isn't even one specific part, but there's going to be some instance where you're fighting 2 or 3 jackals and they're lined up with their shields, or you're fighting a couple of elites, and it's going to come in real handy to just have that sort of firepower. So keep that in mind. Make sure you pick up some fuel rod cannons before you move on. Right here, you see me clipping this rock. That's kind of the way to go for that first engagement, but that's nothing too scary. The main thing you want to worry about going up here is that sniper. He's going to be in the middle, up on that sort of archway right in front of me. If you are playing single player, hit him with a precision weapon. If you have a team, have whoever has a precision weapon hit him. I had a rocket launcher and assault rifle, so I couldn't do it, but he's really the first person you want to take care of, because snipers will mess you up pretty bad on this game. Right here, you see what I'm talking about with the fuel rod cannon. From this distance, it would be kind of hard to take out those jackals unless you want to waste a ton of grenades, or maybe you've ran out of grenades. But it's good to have, you throw in even just one fuel rod cannon will throw them off balance. It'll expose their underbellies. It'll cause them to flail their shield around, which will give you a vantage point into their flesh. You can take advantage of that, move on nice and easy. And the other main thing that I want to remind you of is when your shields go down, get behind cover. I feel like that should be pretty obvious advice, and I think it is to all of us, but I think we all kind of make the mistake of, in the heat of battle, we give into this mentality of like, kill them before they kill you. But really, you can take your time with these guys, and you'll see me do that. Is when my shields go even halfway down, I just kind of get behind cover, let my teammates draw some of the fire, and then I jump back out and take care of them. Right here, I was having a little struggle finding the right melee button. Now, the storm rifle is... I'm not a big fan of the storm rifle. I don't think it's a very strong weapon. I would suggest sticking with human weapons, or a plasma pistol, or a carbine. Really, the storm rifle is probably, as far as I can tell at this point, it's probably the worst gun in the campaign.
What happened?
Alright, this is going to be one of the more difficult parts in this level. This is right after the cutscene. You're going to want to have one guy break right, one guy break left, Again, this is a 4-player legendary strategy. And you're going to want to have 2 guys stay back at the main console where you started the cutscene. That way they can just kind of stay there and defend and activate it as soon as it's available to activate, and you know, it just makes things easier on you. My goal at this point is to get back to the main console and to just stay alive, because basically what's going to happen is after a short period of time up at that main console where we left those 2 guys behind, they're going to be able to hit X on that, and as soon as they hit X, it'll start the cutscene, and you know, we'll be delivered to safety regardless of how many enemies there are around us. You know, we won't. It'll go on without them. The game will ignore them. So that's pretty good. Anytime you can avoid a fight, you know, take that route, I always say. And so we get back here, and you see that thing says it can be activated, so as soon as that's a possibility, they go ahead and activate it, and we move on without even having to defeat all the enemies in that area. Now this part is also pretty tricky. You don't want to wait for the elevator to go down, obviously, because then you're just getting shot at. I was fortunate enough to still have some fuel rod cannons left over, which I took advantage of. And as soon as you get down there, you know, jump behind cover, and then your first priority is going to want to be that phantom turret gunner. You want to take that guy out numero uno, because he will mess you up before any of these guys do. And then this is pretty straightforward here. Just kind of, you know, strategically and cautiously. That's important here, is cautiously move up the bridge. There's a lot of cover, a lot of places to clip, and you can do what I'm doing here if you know you don't feel comfortable clipping and shooting. You kind of just jump up and down and throw grenades, or you can jump up and down and pop shots off. It's a pretty easy bridge to move up. There's just so much cover. Make sure you have a precision weapon at this point in the game. You know, precision, I think in the Legendary campaign in general, precision is always going to be better than anything else, because what this really comes down to is headshots. You know, like right here. See, that's how you take out an elite. That was beautiful. But what it comes down to is, you know, you can put half the clip of an assault rifle into a guy, even if you're aiming in their upper body or at their head. Or you can just, you know, whip out the precision weapon, get the headshot on largely any enemy, and you're good to go. You know, they'll die instantly. Whereas an assault rifle, they can shoot back at you while you're shooting them. And also, see, you can't kill jackals from a distance with anything less than a precision weapon. Because what you want to do is you want to kind of hit that little slit where their wrist is coming out. You hit that, it makes them flinch and expose their body and their head, and then you take them out. And you can't do that with anything less than a precision weapon. And so I highly recommend grabbing precision weapons and holding on to them whenever you can, as much as you can throughout the campaign. Right here, I was going to try and hit this Banshee with the good old plasma bolt, but I fucked it up, so I just had to settle for shooting it a little bit. Now you see my boy Liam, he's gotten in the Banshee. What he's going to do is he's going to try and fight those other 2 Banshees, 2 enemy Banshees you have to deal with, and if the guy you send in the Banshee is doing his job, the enemy Banshees shouldn't mess with you too much. They should be too busy messing with him. And you know, you can defeat those 2 your Banshee guy can defeat those Banshee guys, but it's important that you, when you're in the Banshee, you stay as high up in the air as possible, because see, like what Liam's doing here is just stupid. He's being stupid, straight up. But he gets the job done, so I'm not going to bag on him too hard. But you want to stay as high up in the air as you possibly can, because these guys down below will shoot at you, and they'll kill you pretty fast, just these infantry guys. And if they hit you with a charged plasma bolt, you're fucked, basically. So stay as high up in the air as you can. You won't have to worry too much about the Banshees that you're fighting, because they're kind of, you'll see their AI is kind of stupid, and you can outmaneuver them, you can take them out. And they die pretty easy, but those guys on the ground will mess up the Banshee pretty quickly. They're pretty deadly, so just stay high up in the air and let your ground forces deal with their ground forces, if that makes sense. Okay, so coming up on this fight here, you're gonna have to fight 2 ghosts, and then there's gonna be some turrets. Now, if you have a plasma pistol, plasma bolt the ghosts and jack the ghosts. That's pretty easy. What you see, that's what Liam just did right there. and I believe that's gonna happen to the other ghost, but nobody can actually get in that ghost. The other thing you want to worry about is there's going to be 2 turrets up to your left and right, and those are going to want to be your, you're going to want to prioritize those targets because they will take you out pretty fast, along with Mr. Sniper. And snipers are always, you always want to deal with those pretty quickly because those are going to be the most dangerous things you do have to deal with. A good strategy right here is if you get one guy in the ghost, you can see what Liam's doing is he's just, kind of running back and forth, and he's not even really fighting with his guns. I mean, he is trying to splatter some people, but what he's doing is he's drawing a lot of fire. He's making people, he's making the enemy sort of, they don't know who to shoot at. They're shooting at me, and then he drives by, so they start shooting at him, but then they expose themselves to me, so I shoot them. It's a useful tactic. Right here, you see that Banshee, not that Banshee, that turret takes your shields down pretty quick. You want to make sure you get up there. But yeah, use the ghost as more of a decoy as opposed to using it as an actual, weapon. Because most of the time, if you try to shoot the guys with your ghost, they'll shoot back and they'll eventually kill you. They'll wear you down because the ghost dies pretty quick. It doesn't have a lot of health, especially in Legendary. And if you try to splatter them, it will work from time to time, but a lot of time they'll make that saving throw. They'll dive left or right and they'll survive. Whenever you see, like we see right here, a golden elite or an elite with a sword, whenever you're fighting something that's clearly like an overpowered enemy, team shot him with all 4 of you and he will die quickly. Now right there, like, it looked like he died pretty quick, but keep in mind that was 4 people shooting at him. And so, with that much damage going into him, think about how long that would have taken if it was just one person fighting him. It would have been nearly impossible. And so, when you have 4 people, take advantage of that. Make sure all 4 of you are just team-shotting the hell out of him. Regardless of the weapons, anything will work, but just take that health down as quickly as possible, especially when it's a sword guy, because, he is faster than you. And I do think he can lunge, and that is a one-shot kill if he pulls that off. And that can get pretty old, especially because keep in mind we're playing with iron on here. Now, Liam decided to bring the ghost all the way with him on these fights. I don't recommend that, just because it's a lot harder to dodge bullets and maneuver around when you're in these such tight confined areas. And he did actually take a couple deaths and we started getting angry at him, but he did his thing. He got the job done with the ghost. Now coming up here, Waffles held on to a rocket launcher. He got way back at the bridge. Some of us still had our fuel rod cannons. This is a great time to save your fuel rod cannons for. These last 2 hunters are kind of like the bosses of the level, if that makes sense. And you basically want to do, the same thing I was talking about, where you just team shot the hell out of them. And keep in mind, they are the last 2 enemies, so you can put everything you have into them. You put all your fuel rod cannons, all your rocket launchers, all your grenades, everything, all at once. They'll die pretty easy. And you just want to keep in mind that's probably the best time to save those fuel rod cannons from the very beginning. So anyways, that's the end of that level. I hope you were able to enjoy it. Hope it was helpful. This is Batman signing out.